There's quite a lot of photos of Elvis Presley, like a lot. But few are more influential or consequential than this one right here. This single photo of Elvis Presley helped lead to the eradication of polio in the United States of America.
Polio again struck hard across the nation.
Salk vaccine safe, effective.
Polio is not over for you.
World War II had just ended, and life in 1950s America was a simpler and more peaceful time. Wait a minute, no it wasn't. The Korean War and the Cold War were revving up. The civil rights movement was in full swing. Senators were accusing Americans of secretly being communists. And polio was ripping through American families and leaving kids dead and paralyzed. The 1952 polio outbreak became the worst in US history. Of the nearly 58,000 cases, more than 3,000 died and 21,000 were paralyzed. Let's step back a little bit. During World War II, President of the United States, Franklin Delano Roosevelt, was secretly wheelchair-bound from an earlier bout of polio, or so they thought at the time.
Roosevelt never gave up hope in his battle against infantile paralysis.
In his quest to find a cure, FDR founded the National Foundation for Infantile Paralysis in 1938, which later became known as the March of Dimes.
March of Dimes money helped, and is still helping, and must go on helping.
The March of Dimes aimed its sights first and foremost at polio. So when Jonas Salk and his team got their polio vaccine approved on the 10th anniversary of FDR's death.
Finally, April 12, 1955, Salk vaccine safe, effective.
The next big step was to get people to actually take it.
Get your free polio shot today at 12th and Broadway.
The shots are safe and painless. The tragedy of paralytic polio can be prevented in individuals protected by all 3 recommended doses of polio vaccine.
Teens and adults opted out because they believed they weren't at risk. But as we know, vaccines only work if a majority of the population actually takes it. So they needed a way to make vaccines cool. In 1956, 21-year-old Elvis Presley was a rising star.
Elvis Presley.
He had just released his 2nd studio album, and he booked an appearance on The Ed Sullivan Show to promote his new album and his new film, Love Me Tender. Public health officials devised a stunt to get Elvis to take the vaccine publicly. So before the October 28th show, Elvis was shot in the arm with the Salk polio vaccine for a photo op just before taking stage. And it totally worked. In just 6 months, the polio vaccination rate among teens went from 0.6% to more than 80%. And researchers give Elvis a lot of credit for this. This boost led to the eventual eradication of polio in the US. Thanks to the hard work of the medical professionals and scientists who developed the vaccine, but also for Elvis Presley for getting people to actually take it. So at the end of the day, propaganda, celebrity endorsement actually works for good sometimes. Because when a public figure leads by example, it lends credibility to the cause. And that's why we're seeing ex-presidents and high-ranking medical professionals say that they publicly take the coronavirus vaccine. And there's even been talk of having prominent influencers take it publicly too. Vaccines have made modern medicine what it is today, and they're probably responsible for saving the most lives in human history. I just listened to a podcast from RadioLab about this guy Maurice Hilleman, whose name you've probably never heard, but whose vaccines you probably have in your body right now. Of the 14 vaccines recommended in the US, he created 8 of them, including measles, mumps, hepatitis A, hepatitis B, chickenpox, and a few more that I can't pronounce. You can listen to the RadioLab episode in the link in the description below. Thanks for watching. Peace.